our dear viewers, and welcome to this special edition of our program Africa Today. My Rabia, President Abdel Fattah Sisi received his Indonesian counterpart, Prabowo Subianto, in Cairo on Wednesday. During the meeting, the two leaders discussed means to foster bilateral ties in various domains, in addition to a number of regional and international issues of mutual concern. The Indonesian leader represents his country at the meeting of D8 Organization for Economic Cooperation, known as D8 Summit, slated for Thursday. To shed more light on the issue, we are very much delighted to be joined over the phone by Ambassador Medhat Melligy, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Ambassador Melligy, good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, the importance of the visit by the Indonesian President to Egypt.
Well, first of all, we have to understand, of course, beside the bilateral visit of His Excellency, the President of Indonesia, but he's coming on the margin, of course, to the D8. And I think it's very important that we once again focus on the difference between the D8 and the G8. As we all know, the group of 8, which is the G8, are the most industrialized and advanced countries, while the D8 are the countries who are developing countries at the moment. And it, of course, as we know, it's besides Egypt, it compromises Bangladesh and Turkey and Iran, Nigeria, Pakistan, Indonesia, and of course Malaysia. So this is the first thing that we have to explain to our viewers. Of course, the relation between goes far beyond. I mean, if we remember the first meeting of the non-alignment movement, which is still alive until today, maybe a little bit weaker than before, but it's still a very strong body in international relations, which is the non-alignment movement, started in Bandung in Indonesia at the time of President Nasser and President Sukarno. So, I mean, we go way back in the relations, in the bilateral relations between the two countries. Yeah. Of course, Indonesia in recent and modern times are one of the tigers of the economy in the world, with a very high GDP, and of course, very strong relations with Egypt in all fields and domains. Of course, I have to mention here, since I personally served in Jakarta, in Indonesia, the capital of Indonesia, and I know how the cultural aspect is a very important factor in the relations between the two countries. I mean, Al-Azhar University and Al-Azhar as an institution represent something very sacred to the Indonesian, and accordingly they have a great deal of respect to Egypt, because it is the land who is the main place of Al-Azhar as an institution. And this, of course, gives another depth of the Egyptian soft power in the group and in Indonesia. And of course, as we all know, the countries who represent the 8 countries who are the D8, they represent about 1.2 billion, or maybe 60% of all Muslims. And let's not forget that all these countries are Islamic countries, so actually it gives another depth to the economic relations within the country, which is the culture and the Islamic relations between those countries. And as we know, they cover a huge area of the world, and they represent a great factor of the countries of the economic power in the world. So I think the visit of the President of Indonesia is going to boost this within the D8 on one hand, and the bilateral relation, which is Indonesia-Egypt on the other hand.
Sir, indeed, the timing of the Indonesian president's visit to Egypt is of particular significance. And how does it symbolize the growing partnership between both countries?
Of course, the visit of the President of Indonesia comes in a time where the Middle East region is in a big turmoil due to the Israeli aggression all over the area. Of course, as we know, because of a policy of impunity by the United States, so Israel is actually permitted to do whatever it wants, which is actually causing more troubles in the region, as we have seen unfolding before our eyes. So the visit of Indonesia when it comes to the international arena is very important to see as one of the biggest, if not the biggest Islamic country in the world. Comes at a very important timing where we need all the support that our region can get in order to oppose the Israeli plan to expand itself on the expense of the Arab countries. There is an occupation, an ongoing occupation in Syria that is growing, and also there are parts of Lebanon which hasn't been liberated yet, not of course to mention the original occupation, which is Palestine, Gaza, and the West Bank. So I think that it's very important for Egypt to receive such an honor to be the hosting country of such a group of prominent countries that are important together at these difficult times. And also Egypt is seeking, on another hand, also once again to diversify its economic windows. As we've seen before, we are now full-fledged member of the BRICS, which is the union of many important countries, and our infiltration in Africa. And now we have the D8, and with the Egyptian energy, we are planning to boost its activity to a higher level to meet the expectation of the people. So I think this is the main important thing, as I said before on your platform, that Egypt, after it has undergone for several economic reforms, is offering now its projects, its mega projects, and its big opportunities to investors, whether it's going to be on bilateral level or multilateral level, with all countries who wants to invest in a country that is offering a good opportunity for investment, which is Egypt.
Yes, indeed. So how has Al-Azhar University's relationship with the Indonesian students strengthened the cultural as well as educational ties between both Egypt and Indonesia?
Well, as I said, Al-Azhar represents a sacred institution for all Islamic countries, especially when it comes to Southeast Asia, when it comes to Indonesia and Malaysia and other countries in this region. And I mean, anyone who even walks in the streets of Cairo sees the number of Southeastern Asian who are very respectful people and very kind people who are visiting Egypt and learning in Al-Azhar University as the biggest Sunni university in the world and one of the oldest of the whole humanity. And sees how important it represents this institution to Indonesians and to Malaysians and other countries. I mean, any person, and as I said before, I served and I have seen firsthand myself, anyone who is coming back from Al-Azhar University and finish his study here is looked at in a very different way as a respectful and someone who has the real Islamic science, the moderate Islam, the one that is able to progress and to help countries to develop furthermore, which as unfortunately we are seeing different versions of what it might be called Islam, which is totally against Islam in several organizations, terrorist organizations mostly, as we have seen in our own country. What does those Islamists do to the religion? So Al-Azhar have always maintained its balance and its humbleness before the whole world, and that's why when people and when countries and governments send their students to Al-Azhar universities, they know that those are people going to carry the real religion, the real Islam, and not going to be coming back as fanatics or as extremists who cannot help the country. On the contrary, who might even raise some problems in their own countries. And that's why the growing demand on Islamic studies in Egypt, especially in Al-Azhar, is a worldwide demand for any Muslim or anyone who wants to understand more about Islam in Al-Azhar University, and this is a very big opportunity for them.
Indeed. Sir, how does Egypt hosting of the D8 summit enhance its international standing and influence in the global economic and political forums?
Well, as I said, I mean, we have first the bilateral relations that we have already with these countries, but of course, when we can organize something of this magnitude and based on multilateralism, which is going to be with these countries, I think that we can reach higher level of South-South cooperation, something that we need in this world that has been politicizing everything in order to achieve political goals. So when South-South cooperation exists, it prevents many countries to fall under the influence of the international and the developed countries who want actually to benefit from the needs of these countries, which is not the case, as I said, between South-South cooperation. And I believe that if Egypt knows how to exploit this opportunity, we can reach a very good level of coordination between those strongly economically and, on the other hand, Islamic countries who can, I mean, we have the base to build on what we can do in the future of our countries. And if this was not such an important meeting and can have a good outcome, we wouldn't have seen presidents and heads of states, big states, coming to Egypt to attend such a meeting. On international level, as we mentioned before, I mean, we are in a period of turmoil in the region of the Middle East. And I can say with full confidence that Egypt is becoming the balance of the Middle East now. And Egypt, with its strength, with its might, with its equilibrium that is in the region, it's helping this region not to fall, because we are seeing total aggression from Israel that is unprecedented on one side and unpurified from the other side. And this is actually is the only equilibrium present in the region that is offered by Egypt. It doesn't have any regional greed or any regional demand, just want to become stable and to grow and to develop economically in good way. And I think that our friends from the D8 will help us, and we will help them as well, to grow together and to become more developed.
Indeed. Ambassador Medhat Melligy, former Assistant Foreign Minister, always a pleasure to listen to your precious input, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for being our guest for today. And indeed, the Indonesian President, Prabowo Subianto, is to attend the D8 Organization for Economic Cooperation Summit, marking the first visit by an Indonesian president to Egypt since 2013.
Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto headed to Egypt on Tuesday to represent his country at the meeting of the D8 Organization for Economic Cooperation, known as D8 Summit, scheduled for Thursday. President Prabowo will officially accept the chairmanship for the 2026-27 term from the current chair, Egypt. The D8, which groups Egypt, Indonesia, Bangladesh, Iran, Malaysia, Nigeria, Pakistan, and Turkey, was established in 1997 to improve cooperation between the countries stretching from Southeast Asia to Africa. Notably, all D8 members are also part of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, OIC. Indonesia's chairmanship will commence in January 2026. Prabowo's two-day visit marks the first time an Indonesian president has traveled to Egypt since 2013. During the summit, it's scheduled that President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi is to hold the bilateral meeting with his Indonesian counterpart, President Prabowo. According to the Indonesian Foreign Ministry, Indonesia aims to leverage President Prabowo's presence to ensure that D8 contributes positively to the goals of global South Asian countries in fostering deeper cooperation. He added that the summit represents a vital opportunity to advance the objectives of these nations, particularly in expanding collaboration in areas such as economy and development.
Since the establishment of the diplomatic relations in 1947, Egypt and Indonesia have cultivated a robust partnership grounded in shared mutual interest and a commitment to the international cooperation.
Preparatory meetings for the Developing 8 Organization for Economic Cooperation Summit, D8, began in Cairo on December 16th, with member states gathering at the commissioner level to discuss key agenda items. The meetings chaired by Egypt are in preparation to the D8 summit scheduled for December 19th. Ambassador Rogil Itrebi, Egypt's commissioner to the D8 and Assistant Minister of Foreign Affairs for Multilateral, International and Regional Economic Affairs, presided over the discussions. He stated that the meetings would focus on issues to be included in the Cairo summit agenda, primarily exploring avenues for enhanced economic cooperation among member nations across various sectors. The D8 is an economic cooperation organization established in 1997. Its member countries are Egypt, Bangladesh, Indonesia, Iran, Malaysia, Nigeria, Pakistan, and Turkey. Ambassador Litrebi highlighted the importance Egypt places on the D8 and its chairmanship through the end of next year. He emphasized the potential for strengthening economic ties, particularly in industry, agriculture, and services, which he said would contribute to Egypt's comprehensive development goals. These efforts include attracting investment and increasing trade in goods and services. Litrebi also noted the D8's substantial market encompassing more than 1 billion people and a combined GDP of approximately $5 trillion. According to the Assistant Minister of Foreign Affairs, all member states expressed full support during the meetings for Egypt's proposed initiatives. These initiatives seek to boost economic cooperation among D8 nations through collaborative efforts in industry, trade, education, health, and tourism. The proposals also include support for small, medium, and micro enterprises. Additionally, they aim to enhance research collaboration by creating a network of economic research centers among the D8 member countries.
Well, our dear viewer, that was the preparatory meetings for the Developing 8 Organization for Economic Cooperation Summit commenced in Cairo on Thursday. And indeed, the establishment of relation between Egypt and Indonesia started in 1947. And they have cultivated a robust partnership grounded in shared values, mutual interest, and commitment to the international cooperation.
Egypt was among the first countries to recognize Indonesia's independence in 1946, a year before formal diplomatic relations were established. This early recognition laid foundation for a relationship characterized by solidarity and collaboration. Both nations played pivotal roles in founding the non-aligned movement, advocating for a third path during the Cold War. Trade between Egypt and Indonesia has seen consistent growth over the years. In 2020, the bilateral trade volume reached approximately $1.5 billion, with Indonesia exporting products such as crude palm oil, coffee, tea, textiles, and electronic devices to Egypt. Conversely, Egypt's exports to Indonesia included minerals, cement, and fruits. A recent development indicate a strengthening of economic ties. Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto visited Egypt on Wednesday to attend the D8 Organization for Economic Cooperation Summit. The participation of President Prabowo in the D8 summit underscores the ongoing commitment of both nations to collaborate on economic and developmental issues. Indonesia is set to assume the chairmanship of the D8 in January 2026. The relationship between Egypt and Indonesia is a testament to the enduring power of diplomatic collaboration, economic partnership, and cultural exchange. As both nations navigate the complexities of the 21st century, their shared history and mutual aspirations continue to drive a partnership that contributes significantly to regional stability and global cooperation.
Well, indeed, a very important visit by the Indonesian president to Egypt and a very important meeting with President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi. Our dear viewers, so that we come to the end of this edition of Africa Today. My Rabia, thanks so much.